Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm AJ's wife. We wanted to put together a little video of one of our favorite recipes called chicken cassoulet. It's really moist, pouch friendly. It's beans and chicken and tomatoes, and it's very good, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, we have a can of diced tomatoes, a can of Great Northern beans, minced garlic and onion, basil, thyme, oregano, cayenne, salt and pepper, chicken broth, chicken breast, and turkey bacon. Okay, I started off with a couple tablespoons of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. I don't recommend skipping that step or using canola or one of the sprays. The olive oil gives it its own another layer of flavor, plus it's a healthy fat, so don't worry too much about that. And we're using all lean cuts of meat and everything, so a couple tablespoons of garlic. I like to go a little bit heavy on it, so. And one chopped onion. This was a fairly large onion, so I'm not going to put the whole thing in there. I'll just reserve that in the fridge for another meal. Then you let this cook until the onions start to get golden brown, about 3 to 5 minutes. And I'll pick you up on the next step. Okay, now the onions, you can see have gotten translucent, a little bit of brown going on, so it's time to add the chicken. I just like to push the onions and bacon and garlic out to the side while the chicken cooks so that they don't get too burnt or bitter. I add a little bit more olive oil. In this recipe, you'll see the link over on the side. It calls for chicken thighs. But AJ and I don't really have a problem with the chicken breast, and I'm more of a white meat chicken person. So I've altered this recipe to suit our tastes. And it also has you chunking up the chicken into larger pieces. Once again, just something that we've developed over time. We prefer to have it in smaller bite-sized pieces because we do like to take these dishes for lunch the next day, and this way you don't have to worry about taking a knife for everything. We just make it all bite-sized. And I think the recipe calls for a pound of chicken thighs. These are chicken tenders, probably about 8 or 10 of them. We're just going to let these cook until they get brown on all sides, and I'll catch you on the next step. Okay, now our chicken's all browned. While it was browning up, I just went ahead and washed all my dishes. You want to make sure to take care of anything that you cut your poultry on right away. You don't want to leave it sitting around the house. So it's really good time management. I'm going to add, I think it's a half cup of chicken broth. Again, the recipe's over on the side, and we're going to link it to pouchfriendly.com so that you can get that. It's about a half a cup. You can add a little bit more depending on the desired consistency. Just see how it's all going to come together. And just scrape the bottom of it to get where the chicken brown and the bacon brown and everything. Get all that up off the bottom of the pan. And then add your 14.5 ounce can of tomatoes. Now this is Italian diced tomatoes. The recipe itself calls for just diced tomatoes, but since it has a lot of Italian seasonings, I just went ahead and got that. And then here is a 15.5 ounce can of Great Northern beans, undrained. And this is a really good recipe. Your family that's not post-op can enjoy this too. You could add a green salad with it, or some crusty bread would be really good. Alright, so then you're going to add about a teaspoon of thyme, and I don't measure anything, so I'm going to do about a teaspoon, and since it's dried, just kind of rub it in your hand to release those oils. A half a teaspoon of dried basil, a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, and certainly if you want to use fresh ingredients, you can. You would just use a little bit more than what the dry ingredients called for, because the dry ingredients are more concentrated. And then a dash of cayenne, which I'm going to do a little bit more than a dash because AJ and I like it hot. Stir it all together and then let it cook for about 10 minutes uncovered. At that point, check your consistency. If it's too thick, just let it cook a little bit more to reduce it a little bit. Or excuse me, if it's too thin, let it cook a little bit more. If it's too thick, just add a little bit more of that chicken broth. This is going to be really good. All right, I'll catch you when it's all done and show you what it looks like. You also want to add salt and pepper to taste. Now you're using the chicken broth, so it's already salty, and sometimes those canned beans have a lot of sodium in it, so naturally go according to your doctor's recommendation on your salt intake. If you're not usually a salt person, then hold off on the salt until the end. We also like a lot of black pepper. Even though we put a lot of cayenne, the black pepper is going to hit your tongue on a different spot, so it's a different kind of heat. And again, you let that cook for about 10 minutes uncovered, and we'll catch you then. Okay, it's been cooking about 10-11 minutes. I did want to point out, over on the recipe on the side, it does say that put the broth in the tomatoes and cover it and let it cook for 10 minutes, and then put the beans and let it cook uncovered for 10 minutes. Again, I altered the recipe after the first time I made it. I like the beans to kind of break down and thicken the sauce like that, so I add it all at the same time and just let it cook 10 minutes. And since we use the chicken cut in such small pieces, we don't have to worry about it, being all the way done through, because it definitely is after it's cooked that short amount of time. All right, and that's what it looks like. Okay, and this recipe is going to make about 6 servings. I forget where I picked up the recipe, so the nutritional stats that are on there are according to the servings, and I really don't remember if it was a gastric bypass place or not, so take that for what you will. This is a cup that holds about, a bowl that holds about a cup, and depending on where you're at in your surgery and just how food sits for you, you'll probably eat between a half a cup and a cup. And that's what it is. If you wanted to top it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese or something like that, fresh torn basil, you could absolutely do that. Bon appetit.